It is 9 o'clock and I'll call the meeting of the Codington County Commissioners to order. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, number 2, call for public comment. Public comment can be in person or it can be submitted by telephone at the following phone numbers: 605-882-6248 or 605-882-6297. Number 3, are there any conflict of interest items on the agenda?
No.
None. None for me. Okay, number 4, I'd entertain a motion to approve
So
our agenda
moved.
today. Motion
I'll
by
second
Van Duzen,
that.
second by Schwer. Any changes or corrections? We may have one of our legislators come by. If he comes by, we'll move up the public comment, just to allow him to talk to us if he so desires. So hearing no other comment, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We'll say no. That motion carries. Number 5, action to approve our minutes from last week.
So move.
Motion by Johnson,
I'll second it.
second by Schwer. Any changes or corrections? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We'll say no. That motion carries. Okay, number 5, number 6, we're opening of bids for the microservicing road project and possible action to award those bids.
Good morning.
Morning.
I think you need to hit the button there. Thank you.
This is Steve Meyer. He's with I Make Engineering.
Thank you for your time. We have a bid bond. This is for the micro seal project. Bid bond is signed.
Who's the bidder?
Aztec Corporation. ASTECH. St. Cloud, Minnesota.
The total base price is 429,253 and 92 cents. That was $429,253 and 92 cents.
93 cents,
I'm sorry, 92.
92. Okay.
The total base bid alternate is $139,440.19. So 139,440.19.
So
Past 9.
Yes.
Accepted.
The total of all bids is $568,694.11. So 568,694.11. Would anybody like any of those numbers reread?
Yeah, that last one.
so
Uh,
go ahead.
568.
694.11. And the numbers that you show on the screen, I agree with.
That's just my writing down the bids, but so the alternate is for. Can you explain?
Added miles.
Just added miles. Okay.
There's roughly 8.5 miles. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what we had and that's what.
Okay.
There was almost 8.75 miles
Right.
to
Okay.
complete the whole project.
Okay.
And so if it pleases the commission, I'd like to take these numbers, verify the math, and I'll report back in a little bit.
Yep, that's fine.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we'll come back to number 6 to finish it up if you guys feel ready later in the meeting. So number 7 is to open bids for lease of county land. So this is a sealed bid auction. So
We received one bid.
we received one bid. So this bid is from Tyler McElhaney. And it says, I would like to bid $35 per acre for the hayland for the lease. For hayland of less than 10 acres. Okay, so that's the only bid we have, so yes, and the rest of the agenda item is possible action to award the bids. Do you know what the current amount was that we were getting off hand?
Grab that file. I think it was around that same amount.
Okay,
We'll grab it.
Lee, what was the first name?
Tyler
Tyler.
McElhaney. Yeah. There's only one bid, I guess, that we don't play, so.
We have to accept the bid, or can we open it up to an auction?
You can do whatever you want. If you want to accept it or if you want to.
What was it in years past?
About the same.
Yeah,
Was it?
that's what Brent's checking was, so, but yeah, that was my question too, so.
Pretty cheap.
So. This was in 2019, it was $30 per acre, same there.
Okay, so 35 per acre, so. And is there,
Well,
so
I guess
is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the bid.
Okay, so we have a motion from Van Duzen to accept this bid,
I'll second it.
and a second by Schwer. Okay, any other discussion?
Well, I do have one comment about the procedure for paying for this. I don't know if it's true or not, but I understand that we haven't got paid from last year yet. Is that true or not?
We'll do some research. There was a payment made. But I need to go back and look for sure on, so there was a payment made in 2022, but I'm not sure what 2021 was taken care of, so we'll do some research on that. But this does lead to the terms of the lease. Says it on there that it does need to be paid.
Brent is.
I will do some. Let me do some more checking on that for sure, but there was a payment made in 2022
Okay, but
for
so,
the 284.40.
so the motion before us is to accept bid from Tyler McElhaney for $35 per acre for the hayland. So any other discussion?
I would add, so it has in here that the amounts need to be paid on or before July 15th of each year.
The only discussion that I would have is this came up at a previous meeting on whether or not to accept sealed bids or to put it to an auction, and I don't know what the best way to handle that is. I think we need to take a look at that in the future and maybe do a little bit more advertising that it's coming up ahead of time so that we have more bidders
Right.
to make it a little more.
So this is for 2
process.
years now, so it'll be this year and next year, so then it will be.
Right,
I don't know, we've had a few sometimes, but not
Yeah.
a lot. So,
that's pretty cheap.
yeah,
So
but it's more than we got.
Yeah.
So,
it's gonna have to
Alright.
be done.
any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
We'll say no. Okay, that motion carries. Okay, monthly reports, I'm sorry,
8.
number 8. Action to request on a request to sell alcohol at an American Cornhole Organization event at the Extension Center. I understand we have some representatives from the American Cornhole Association or organization. Sorry.
Morning.
Morning.
You have to turn this on.
Nope, it's already on.
Okay, okay. We are here.
Please
to-
introduce yourself.
Oh,
say your
yes.
name.
So we know.
I am Lindsay Stengel, the Director of Marketing for the Watertown CVB, known as Visit Watertown.
And I'm Miranda Boyer, the marketing coordinator for Visit Watertown.
Great. Welcome.
So we are here to request permission for the second year in a row to have a vendor serve alcohol at the American Cornhole Organization's second majors tournament in Watertown.
At the extension
Yeah, at the
complex.
Extension Center. I don't know if it's relevant to this conversation, but we'll just go over some stats from last year. So last year at the Extension Center, we hosted 50 teams, 17 states were represented, and we're estimating about 100 to 120 room nights. The dates that we're requesting to be able to do this is October 12th, 13th, and 14th. The actual play will be the 13th and 14th. However, we're also requesting the 12th because we want to host like a welcome reception for the organization. Do you want to speak to last year and?
Last year's event went really well. Dempsey's came out with a hot dog cart and did the alcohol, and we had no issues and everything was really well received. We are hoping that this year's event is a little bit bigger, bringing in more teams to make it a more successful event.
Have you contacted the vendor?
Yes, we have. So there is a slight obstacle with Dempsey's expanding into the Brookings market. They think there may be some scheduling conflicts that pop up. However, they're working through those. We're hopeful that they'll be our vendor. However, we can approach you guys again if something happens and we have to seek another vendor.
Is the vendor designated on the request?
It is not, but typically, so at this point, it will be Dempsey's. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to allow that or to approve that request.
Motion to approve by Van Dusen. Is there a second?
I'll second
A second by Schwer. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We'll say no. Okay, that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate those events coming to our city. So thank you.
All right, let's see, gentlemen, for going back to number 6. Are you guys ready to make a recommendation to finish up number 6? Okay.
Steve went through the numbers and everything came out good. My recommendation is to accept the bid from Aztec for the micro seal,
With including the alternate?
including the alternate.
Okay,
Yes,
so your recommendation is the whole thing.
yes, the $568,694.11.
Now, this was budgeted, right?
Yes, this is a budgeted item. Yes.
Is there a motion?
So move.
So motion by Johnson,
I'll second it.
second by Schwer. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We'll say no.
All right.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, number 9, monthly reports. Andrew. Management Director.
Morning.
Good morning.
All right, Andrew.
So for our emergency management update, last month we had a radio license. Well, it was actually for the sheriff's office, so it came due. I removed the wideband emissions, got that renewed, so we're good for another 10 years on that one. Sherry completed her advanced professional series training. In addition to the 7 professional development series training classes, there's another 5 required classes and 5 electives. And that's all in addition to the ICS 100, 200, right, 300, 400, 700, 800, and EM 101, 102, and 103. So that's pretty big deal. I mean, she's done a lot of training and she's, great at what she does. Lark Field Day was over this past weekend. It's considered a very large, one of the biggest emergency preparedness exercises. I mean, ultimately requires participants to set up in less than ideal circumstances. They transmit using temporary stations in public places to try to contact as many other stations as possible.
Lark, just for the other commissioners that may not know, is Lake Area Radio Club. That's the
Oh,
amateur
okay.
radio
Oh, thank you.
club.
Yeah, sorry, I was all.
Field exercise over the weekend.
They actually had a pretty good program on the radio the other morning,
Mhm.
so.
So we have a history of supporting them. There were a couple other emergency managers out there as well. We, Codington County, typically bring generators and so forth out there to just to get a little bit of runtime on them as well, to make sure that they're getting used, burn fuel through them and so forth. I returned HESCOs that the city of Watertown requested. I order from Pier from the spring flooding. I returned those to Pier. And as far as the flood update, our declaration, there hasn't been a determination at the federal level yet. That was sent up on June 2nd. Typically, that determination takes between 30 and 45 days. So we're anticipating hearing something more within the next few weeks.
So, and that's the June 2nd, that was done. That's from the state.
Yes.
Okay.
State submitted it to at the federal level.
Andrew, that road that's west of Waverly, was that included in that work that we're having done up there? That washout? That was.
I think I know which road you're talking about.
Yeah.
County road.
So that was
County Road 6.
County Road 6,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
That sounds right.
Was that included in that declaration?
So the declaration is really just a combination of all of the damage at each level. So it could be community level, township level, and county level, like all rolled up. That was depending on what number, well, state was able to validate over $400,000 within our county. And
Okay.
if that was on the preliminary damage assessment, then that's included. But even if it wasn't included in the preliminary damage assessment, they would still be able to claim that if there's a presidential disaster declaration.
Okay.
I
was thinking it
we were talking
was,
about that
yeah.
early on, so. yeah.
Okay.
In the meantime, state has been holding meetings with FEMA Region 8 to do pre-planning, so they're prepared once that determination is made. And then I've had an initial meeting with Watertown Public Works Department just to update the flood response plan. There's a lot of good products that certain entities have, and I mean, we're just trying to build that out for other ones in the city. As far as upcoming events, LAPC meeting today at noon. And Sherry is finishing up on NIM spreadsheets and municipal contacts as required by state law. That's all I have for.
Okay, any questions on Andrew's report?
Nope.
Okay, and why don't we jump down to number 13, since you're here?
Yeah.
And talk about, so number 13 is action to approve a resolution to lift the ban on open burning. Any recommendations?
I recommend we remove it.
Okay.
The biggest concern or the biggest area of concern within the county was in the northeast part of the county. South Shore had up to last week's meeting, only 2 days where they received a 1/10 of an inch, per day. So it was very dry up there. I talked to the fire chief up in that area. He said that things greened up very, very nicely after. He said they got about an inch up their way. Even statewide, Far Eastern counties received the least with about an inch or less of rain. But the vegetation and crops are greening up quickly. They responded well, which is kind of the same things that you guys were saying ahead of the meeting. Another fire chief who was for it said that he thinks that we're in good shape for now, so.
I might have got a call. I got a call from the fire chief. Same, might have been the same guy, but saying the same thing. So what are wishes it would.
Make a motion to lift that.
And your resolution number is 2023-12.
So we have a motion to lift the burn ban that's currently in effect by Commissioner Van Duzen. Is there a second? Second by Johnson. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Say no. Okay, that motion carries. All right, thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll stand back up to number 10, I think. I don't know if you're, so number 10 is action authorized chair to sign a Medicaid provider agreement and community health worker agency addendum to the South Dakota Medicaid provider agreement.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Two things in this motion, or let's say a bunch of.
The agreement with the.
So I'll be saying, if we approve, then I'd be saying both the agreement and the addendum. So you walk us through this a bit, Carrie.
Sure. So what this is for is through the CHW program, the Community Health Worker Program, we have the opportunity to build Medicaid for the services that we're providing. They have to be, we have to enroll the person in the impact program. And then we will work with their primary doctor to create like a care plan on how we're going to help this person. And then the doctor will make a referral to us. So what then that allows us to do is help them find the best resources for them, to take them to and from their appointments, making their appointments for them, kind of whatever field they feel comfortable with. If they want us to sit in with on their appointments, or if they just want us to help them make the appointment and take them there. But it allows us to bill Medicaid.
Okay.
So just that.
And then is the addendum? The addendum does what exactly?
So there's the agreement that just kind of shows that, and then the addendum. And forgive me, I'm still learning this as well. I've been kind of the one in charge of like getting all this set up, but I'm still learning it as well. The addendum is just kind of more or less kind of tells like the definitions, like what the staffing should do, the training that'll be the intake.
I see.
It's just kind of clarify like all of that.
Okay.
And then there is a disclosure form too, that has to be signed, and it just basically says that, you know, we've never been convicted of crimes or false reporting or anything, you know, stuff like that. So
I'm sorry, is the disclosure for a client to sign or?
this is for us to the provider enrollment disclosure form.
Okay.
No, so there's 3 different forms that you would have to sign.
Okay. So, and that, okay, so. So the Medicaid provider, agreement, do we need separate motions for all these, or I think I think there's, so the agreement and the addendum go together, and then.
And then the policies and procedures is.
Right, that's separate,
one.
that's
Yep.
separate.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So is there motion or discussion? So a motion. So motion by
Second.
Johnson, second by Van Duzen. Any other questions or discussion? So just for people's clarification, so there's community health worker program. So this is a new thing, fairly new thing in the state. And the question is, this would be an agreement to allow the county in that, through that program to bill Medicaid. So,
Correct.
okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We'll say no. Okay, that motion carries. And then, we have a few more to get through and then.
And then the next one is the policies and procedures. Natalie did have a few questions on it, so I just want to give you these. The changes that she had proposed. Here's that one. I think she emailed.
Yeah, I saw the email. We have a chance to digest it. So this is, yeah, what the motion we're on is, or the agenda item we're on is number 11, action to approve the impact policy and procedures manual. So this goes hand in hand. This is how you get it done, basically.
Yep.
Gonna walk us
And
through.
so, yeah, so under the first one that Natalie, it just says that program requires quarterly review of the clinical records, and Natalie's question was, whatever the clinical records. Well, for our records, as for Medicaid purposes, they term them as clinical records. They would be our client folder or client form. So it just says, so just clarifying like what the clinical records policies are. And just so knowing that Sarah would have to just on a quarterly basis go through and make sure that we're documenting everything, that we're following all the procedures and policies for the client records.
Right,
It's the
okay.
same thing as the clinical. The second one that she said was the Codington County Welfare Director will consult with the Human Resource Director and commissioners if further action is necessary. So as an example, like if we had like a funeral burial that we had done and the client comes back, we denied them, the client comes back and goes, hey, I don't think this is right. We would do the necessary search, bring it to, HR and the commissioners, like we normally do, to try and resolve, to see if like, maybe did we make a mistake or whatever, to discuss it. So that's kind of the same. That's how I interpret this one,
Yeah.
is that we would bring it to you guys if necessary. On the second page, where it says other staff members, we just need to clarify that it's other welfare office staff members. The second one there, it just says Codington County Welfare Supervisor, should actually say director. We don't have a supervisor, it's a director. And then the last one, Natalie's wondering about corrective action has been taken, and she said, what if the complaint is found invalid? Again, it's kind of the same theory as that the burial. If it was, if you guys decided that, our decision was correct, then we, that's the corrective action, is that, that we brought it to you guys, we did the necessary steps. And it was still denied. Or if you guys decided that, oh yeah, what, we think this should have been approved. So
You could.
I don't know how you want to
You
word
could
that. then.
insert the word necessary.
Necessary
Yeah,
actions
some-
maybe,
yeah,
or something.
Necessary corrective action,
Okay.
maybe. Or whether.
So I guess before we, Mr. Chair, I'd like
Yeah.
to see the corrections made on this before we actually
Oh, is that?
take the final, is it a timely
Is
issue?
it, like, does it-
Well, I think so. Like, I think Sarah did put them in there, but for some reason I was not able to like insert them because she was on the road. And so
Yeah.
I'm assuming she's pulled over and stopped to make the corrections. So if I could figure out how to, insert the right terms and get it in, I could do it right away, but
Is it urgent? Could we do this next week?
we're not.
Oh, that's
meeting next week.
right. That's right. Okay.
Be sent in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't mind, making the motion to approve it. However,
Yeah, no,
without
okay.
without the actual changes in the policy in front of me, I'm hesitant to do that. So
Okay.
if you're willing to make those changes and
Yeah.
bring it back in front of this board, I think I wouldn't have an issue with that.
Sarah would get that done. I can get that emailed out.
Yeah, simple,
Okay.
simple.
Yeah, I'm sure that's something that she could do, and get it.
Well, so.
Today, so-
Yeah, we still.
But- Yeah.
So.
Somebody else, I guess, could be.
We can motion to.
I'll second it.
So you made, well, as I have that, who made the motion?
Troy made the motion.
Well, I would like her to bring this back in front of this board so that we have the actual policy. So it's not a motion to approve it until that's done.
So that's gonna, okay, is that something you could run and do, maybe?
Probably.
Pick it up at the end.
Yeah.
I wanna come back to that.
Yep, okay,
All right, yeah, if you could do that. that'd be
sure.
great. Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right,
Any
so
other
let's-
questions on this? That's fine.
All right,
That's it.
I'll go try and figure out where.
so we're still pausing the number of that.
Okay,
Click accept
Sounds-
changes.
there you go.
All right,
Thanks.
Do you
thanks.
want these to sign now or or just give it to you and then, yep, okay, perfect. Thanks.
Okay, so, I'm gonna exercise some privilege as chair, and we have, joining us today, the Senate Pro Tem, Senator Lee Schoenbeck. So we're kind of bring up a bit of, we have, an open portion of the agenda, so we'll start with that and we'll finish it later, but since Senator Schoenbeck is here.
Hello, you guys.
All right.
I just
Senator.
thought I hadn't, Randy, I don't even think we've met. Nice to meet you. Hi. I just thought, every once in a while I ought to stop by and find out what we're doing wrong. Or put a bug in your ear that, if there's something you think we need to be doing, January isn't that far away. We're already working on legislative issues. And in anticipation of what you might ask, I did talk to, Senator Dybert, who at least some of you probably know Randy as a
Yeah.
county commissioner as well. Because of that summer study that we set up. And just to get a little update, and it's probably not surprising that I suspect the two most fruitful areas for results out of that. One of them is likely to be, and there's been talk about this as soon as Medicaid expansion passed, that whether there should be some changes to the indigent poor relief responsibilities of counties. I think that whether it comes out of that summer study. The way summer studies work is they're really about educating legislators about things that you're going to be doing during the session, we think. So we try and guess. And then if they propose legislation, it comes to the executive board that you and I are the chairs of. But anybody can still introduce it. And frequently bills come from summer studies, not because the summer study actually recommended them, but because of what they learned in that process, the members chose to introduce them. I think you're going to see something on indigent. The other issue that and there's a second study you may be aware of, which is that the Supreme Court is pursuing one looking at, it's the problem of, it's a county funding problem, but it's also just a problem of lack of bodies on some of the criminal indigent defense side of things. And I've had a couple of conversations with Chief Justice. And I think there's going to be an intersection of this county study and what the
working group is.
what the UJS is indigent. I think they're going to both end up at about, I don't know, I don't want to guess, the same place, but they're going to have a similar theme. And that is, there are clearly some things that if we would take over and create with some trepidation about creating a whole nother entity. Those things tend to grow like a fungus. But if we created with all due respect to fungus, cheese and wine, a statewide public defender office, that's my name I made up, but that conceptually grasps, and I'll tell you what it could do. More efficiently than the one-off system we have now. When you guys pay for a habeas corpus action where a prisoner challenged or they challenge whether they were properly convicted, which only comes after the initial case is all done and through its appellate process. Well, then somebody gets appointed to defend that, or actually in that case, plaintiff, the habeas corpus. And they probably are going to do one of those. And if you're in Perkins County, you're going to do one every 20 years. Whereas if you had a statewide public defender's office that was doing those habeases, for example, you wouldn't have all these one-offs where somebody's got to go figure out what are the rules, what are the process. You get rid of all the one-offs, and there's a lot of boilerplateness to that. So habeas would be one thing where you could take the bill off the counties and be more efficient by doing it statewide. Like that. There was a second area that's not, I know. Some of this is me, some of this is the Chief Justice, and I can't, because there were multiple conversations, I don't know where to draw the line. So I don't want to say these were his ideas as well, but they at least are mine. Criminal appeals, because you get somebody court appointed and they do this case, and now it's going to be an appeal on it. They may do one a year. Whereas if you had an office, I mean, the appellate process is got all kinds of special rules. And so if you got to pay somebody to learn a one-off versus somebody that's like in my office, we're in a lot of appellate work. I have paralegal and knows those rules inside and out. Well, if you have some office that's just got to do one on a criminal case every 2 years,
Yeah.
it's not efficient. And if you were going to pick the third one, and I don't think this is going to come out of this, it's far too dramatic, and it's actually, you got to learn to crawl before you run. It would be to take the capital murder case, the capital offenses and those, and pull, which are of course the big expenses to counties.
Yes.
But now you're talking, remember I said about you start that little office and grow like a fungus. You move those in there and now you're gonna have a big office.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that's exactly gonna go, but I think that's where there's gonna be an intelligent discussion. You can have a lot of unintelligent discussions in the legislative process that are probably not designed to go anywhere but in a circle. That's a discussion that I suspect can help everybody.
What about like for the, say for the capital murder cases, for example, so those are very expensive court-appointed attorney costs, you know, for us, for the counties, would there be? I think there was kind of an expectation that somehow, you know, the state might just pay for some of that, but as opposed to creating like another office for that, but.
But see, but that doesn't get you any efficiencies. That just shifts who has to pay the bill.
Right. Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
And we do have clerk that covers some of that, right?
Clerk helps, yes, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, anybody can start us out saying anybody can introduce any bill and it comes out of discussions.
Yeah.
And there may be an appetite. Some people introduce that. The better arguments for the changes are things where you have more efficiencies by the change.
Yeah.
And that's what got my interest, to be frank about it. So that I actually came to see what you, but I thought that was something you guys might want to know about because it's
a big deal.
county contemporaneous issue. What else? What else?
I guess I was, you know, the summer study is a good thing. It seems a little bit similar to there was a 2015 study that kind of, like, it was kind of a one over the world, kind of just to identify all the, you know, all the stuff counties have to do, you know, by law and what, you know, what they basically have to pay for. This is more focused on a few specific things, as I understand it. So.
That's where a lot of our primary expenses are.
Yeah.
So county's
to
legal
include this one.
defense.
Yeah.
I mean,
to
It's a
include
big
this one.
deal.
This started out, I think, I don't have it in front of me. I think it's got a pretty broad mandate, but
It's not as broad as the 2015 one, but yeah.
But there's the people that are Roger Chase, who's he was roommate, and Randy Diver, who's a county, they're smart people. And I call them world peace summer studies. You can't, these people want to have these world. I like to look at the tax system. Oh, really? Why don't you go do that by yourself? Because you're going to waste a whole lot of people's money and time if you think you're going to, you can't do world peace. You can do specific targeted
Bites.
So what else?
Yeah, I get it. One of the things, maybe not this summer study, but you know, it'd be nice to be able to look at how do counties do capital expenses. And so I think, you know, I mean, we have a mandate to do jails and stuff, expensive stuff like that. And so that gets challenging at times when it has to be property tax. And I think we've had discussions about this in the past, but so, you know, what are good ways to do that? Because I think it's kind of hard when you're doing. So we appreciate what like the summer study is doing, I think, for the operational expenses and dealing with some of the most expensive, you know, pieces of that, particularly in the criminal justice world. But then how does a county do a CIP? You know, that's a challenging thing. When you're kind of going from project to project and, you know, saying, having to ask the voters, well, can we please raise your property taxes to do, you know, to build this thing? So that's kind of the challenge, you know, that's a challenge for counties. So it's hard to be as deliberate as we'd like to be, I think, in that kind of, so that's kind of that may be a world peace thing. A little bit, but you know.
But it is a decent introspective issue South Dakota needs to be looking at. In fact, even just I was sitting here with them because I'm thinking to myself, the challenge is that we're bigger and we're projected, actually, if you've seen the numbers, they're saying by 2030, we're going to break 1 million. We were a state that was 700,000, you know, 15 years ago. So the expansion and the modernization, all those other issues mean the system that was created in the century before the last century might not be the most perfect funding mechanism now for challenges. But two things on that. I mean, what I just happened to think of as you were talking about, kind of, you know, now because of the Wayfair decision, our revenues are up because but we've never thought about, there's never been any appetite for trying to take over some of those county challenges.
Mhm.
And then I chuckled, somebody thought I was swearing, they didn't get the point. I multiple times said on the Senate floor that counties are the redheaded bastard stepchilds of local government. And I had to laugh because I had a lobbyist for the townships come up to me the next day and say, that's not true, it's us. And then I had the senator's wife complain that she thought I swore on the floor of the Senate. She clearly wasn't smart enough to get the point that I was saying counties are in a tough spot, and they are institutionally there,
Mhm.
historically there, and nobody wants to fix it because nobody cares to have a nicer jail for their grandkid to go to.
Right.
I mean, you just
Right.
don't do any, most of the stuff you do are things that nobody else says, I'd like to have a nicer place to go pay my taxes.
Has there been a lot of discussion or on the regional jail theory, statewide regional jail?
That was the second point I was gonna make is, the regionalness issue, which in my opinion is something counties should address. They don't have to, they can just keep starving. But you will never get your county commissioner association to agree to look at that because nobody wants to give up their army. So a county with 800 people does not have the same challenges as a county with 250,000 people.
Right.
And you have the same set of rules, but the one with 800, they're not willing to change. Because this morning I'm driving in, I'm talking to Randy Diver. He goes, Lee, one thing we gotta look at is regionalizing state's attorneys. I said, oh, you mean like they already do in Northwood, where Shane Penfield has like 3 counties because there's no other lawyers up there. I said, well, Randy, I remember there was this gutsy young senator in 1995 that introduced legislation so counties could share state's attorneys go together. And he took a lot of grief for doing it. And it's me. And not a single, I got it passed, not a single county since 1995, it's been on the books, have combined their prosecutors, even though they don't even have attorneys in some of these counties anymore. So you can't get them to cooperate. Yes is the answer,
Okay.
but it's a world peace issue.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, you know where you should start it? Because that discussion's got to start in Sioux Falls or your county commission state convention. And good luck.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, I mean, for the bigger counties, I mean, it's, we charge like a bed rate or whatever it is for the jail. But yeah, they like to have their own state's attorney, their own auditor, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Understand.
yeah,
that
it's,
there has to come a point where
we're
we're bleeding out.
The
and we have
unfortunate
to-
thing is that probably the only way some of the counties will come to realize that they need to do this is when they can't pay the bills anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
there's financial failure. And so now what do we do? It's just like our townships, a lot of townships, they say, well, we can't afford to be a township anymore. You take us over. Well, that's like taking a load of bad debt.
I thought, because that issue's come up, because I think last year in one of those summer studies, they had about 13 counties say that they're on the verge of that. I thought that we ought to, and I don't think we have a process now, as a legislature, should create a statutory process where when you can't, then the legislature can assign you to an adjoining county. And that's how you.
That's the only way it can happen.
That's how you step towards what's. needs
A
to happen.
mandate by
Lee.
the legislative body.
With that thought though, with you assigning them to that county, how can that county afford to take on a county who's already in debt? That's gonna drag that
That's
county
the
down.
Well, you'd have to come up with in that process, how you're gonna handle the short-term issue, but what you really, when I say assign, I mean. You're gonna expand some adjoining county to take over that kind of.
Right, because they're not making it already with the revenue that they're getting,
Yeah,
so.
but all of a sudden now you're gonna get rid of one courthouse,
Right.
you're gonna get rid of,
Some of those costs.
you know.
well, at this point, a hypothetical discussion, so.
Yeah. But you guys take that up at your county commission association meeting in September, because.
So world peace is off the table.
Anything else? I'm happy to.
Thank you for stopping
No,
in.
those are I think those are the biggies. So we can, thank you for stopping in and we can definitely continue.
Yeah, thank you.
Y'all got my cell number.
Yeah.
Well, you don't,
Thanks.
but you can get it from them.
All right.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm however, I got a prisoner sitting in there.
It's not the right shade of orange. So. Okay,
See you.
thanks. All right, so let's see, we're on,
15.
come back to
Oh,
12, we may
well,
come
yeah.
back to 11. So let's go to number 12. So that's discussion of possible action to approve the human resources contract effective 1 July of 2023. So this is, like, I don't think it's in the packet, but it's on your desk. It's the human resources service.
I had a
agreement.
chance to review it and I'll make a motion to approve it.
So we have a motion by Johnson. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
So second by Schwer. So just to give the, so basically it's the same service. It's our HR consulting. So this is how we do our HR. It doesn't make sense for us to have an HR department or a permanent HR person. So Multi-Business Solutions has been providing good services through Natalie and Larissa as our HR consultant. And so this is just to addresses the amount. So an increase in the amount. So the monthly payment will be now $3,520. So that's the key change in this agreement. Just to let everybody know.
It's a lot cheaper than hiring a full-time
Yes,
agent.
that it is. So, and
Does a great job.
with other, it's a reflection of the, the economic
We
times that
need
we're
to
in.
vote on it, yeah.
Yeah. So any other discussion?
Otherwise, you guys would get to do HR work.
Yeah, this is true. So any other discussion? So hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Please say no. Okay, that motion carries. So we covered number 13. So that was the lifting of the burn ban. Number 14, note office closures for July 3rd and 4th. Those are still that's next week, Monday and Tuesday for Independence Day.
You may also want to cover if you are going to have a meeting next week at all. I don't have anything that has come in that there would be a need for it,
I
but
think we can, there's one item that I think we can cover it under old business a little bit later in the meeting. But yeah, right, we're not seeing a need for anything.
okay.
Okay, 15, action to approve abatement applications.
No abatements.
Okay, and I see Carrie, are you ready? So let's go back. So Carrie came back. So let's go back to number 11, action to approve the impact policy and procedures manual. So
I did make copies for everybody, but
Okay.
they're still in red.
Okay.
I wasn't
that's
able to figure that part out, but I got
it's
it.
accept change,
Yeah.
accept change is what you want.
Yep.
Okay.
So.
I'll make a motion to approve.
That's
Yeah,
that. Oh, we got a motion by Van Duzen,
I'll second it.
and second by Johnson. So to approve the impact policy and procedures manual with the changes outlined in this addendum here. So the red is the red lines.
Yep.
Changes.
Okay.
Sorry to make you run all the way back there.
I didn't actually.
Oh, okay, good.
I called the office and had them forwarded to Debbie and Debbie helped
That
me.
works good. That's efficient.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or discussion?
You
Okay.
want to see it?
Oh, okay.
Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Let's see no.
I'll get that for the minutes if I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a copy? Yep.
Yep, I'll
There you
just
go.
keep that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yep. All right.
All right,
Thank
thank you. Carrie.
you.
Okay, that takes care of number 11. Number 16, jumping down to 16.
All right.
Action to approve claims for payment.
The only claims we have are the payroll salaries and in the total amount of $687,503.07.
Move to approve.
So motion by Van Duzen. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Schwer. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, please, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Say no, that motion carries. Number 17, action to approve automatic budget supplements.
None.
None today.
We have a whole bunch of personnel changes.
Changes.
I don't know if you want to take Rick's item up before we go through all of these or.
Yeah, why
what
don't
you
we
wanna
do,
do.
that's gonna take a little bit, so let's jump down to old business, so. If you wanna go over that, so we're talking about the culvert repair and last week, so we're still, this is going back to the.
Yeah, I had
the-
mentioned that we were going to have
A change order.
change order. And that change order came out in the amount of $4,063.12.
So, okay, and it had to do with what, cleaning up the joints between.
Yep.
the culverts.
They had
Between culvert
to
sections.
steam pressure wash under each joint and then suck the material out. I'll have pictures of that on my next monthly report. And that was $2,400 to do that. And then we added riprap to the north side where the water comes into the culverts, and then riprap on the south side where the water come out, because there was old rocks and stuff in there, and we put nice cracked granite in there. And that was $1,800. And
Have
then,
that on this sheet. You should all.
yeah, you
have
should
that
all
there.
have a sheet.
It'd be the second.
Like this one.
Yeah. I'll move to approve that change order.
So a motion by Van Dusen. Do we need to declare an emergency or can we just approve it under old business?
You can do whatever
Yeah, I
you
think
probably do an
that's-
emergency, I would
Yeah, why
say
don't we
maybe.
do- so maybe the motion would be, if you're okay with this, to declare an emergency and approve the change order.
Correct. That's my motion.
So, okay, so we have a motion by from Van Dusen.
I'll second it.
Second, Schwer. Okay, any other questions or discussion on the matter? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We'll say no. Okay, that motion carries. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you. And they did a really nice job on it and got it opened up late
Good.
Friday night. So
Great,
that,
excellent.
it looks good.
That was a big deal. That was a
Yeah,
mess.
that's all the major, yeah.
Yep, like I said, I'll have my next monthly report. I'll have pictures and stuff to show you what they did. Go into explanation a little bit more. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, jumping back to 18. Actually, we put personnel changes. So
Okay.
some of these were in our original
Yeah.
packet, some.
Came in after, since
Yes.
it's on. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to do like I did last week. I talked to Cindy to see how she did it in the past. I'm just going to basically say the names, because these are all your standards yearly step increases. Just gonna go through the department and say the name if you're okay
So
with that.
This is most of the employees in the county.
You should have.
Take them all as one motion.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yep, and you should have all the copies in your packet, so
Okay.
you'll have the amounts if you.
They won't all be on the screen. though.
No, they won't all be on the screen.
Okay.
So first is Veteran Service Office, Jay Roberts and Todd Rose. Next one is the WIC Administrative Tech, Sarah Amon. These are all with the department in the jail, Amelia, and some of these names I'm not really sure
Very
about.
close.
Yes, so thank you for that. Shauna Carter, Maria Escamilla, Lindsay Strickerts, Brandon Anderson, Wesley Jennings, Austin Hanson, Kelly Ulrich, Jordan Jensen, Charles Rosso, Jennifer Matek, Sean Nils, Raceland, I don't know how to say the last name for sure. Shetter. I'm horrible with this. Melissa Holquist, Julie Galasath, Marcy Rosso, Kayla Schumacher. And then these are Sheriff's Office, Shane Yost, Aaron Lenzer, Adam Reeves, Brad Howell, Megan Swanson, Russell Matthews, Jared Olson, Trevor Schimmel, Vanna, Brent Solom, Chandler Flowers, Matt Blackwelder, and then here's another jail, Wyatt Anderson, Register of Deeds, Jackie Manning, Jill Swetzler, and then auditors, Brenda Hanton, Deborah Melville, Jody Pearson, Cindy Feldmeyer, Highway Department, Harry Rounds, Doug Torstedson, Jeff Case, David Heading, Jamie Dolan, Brad Swinger, Matt Dargett, Robin Ryder, Lonnie Bolsang, Randy Falve, Mitch Kalhoff, Eric Kozak, Rick Hartley, Lori Deutsch. Actually, so are you doing the department heads, or can we go ahead and run them through, or how are you going to do that? Are you going to do their
I think we take it as just as for one personal action.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's
Okay.
everybody gets.
Lori Deutsch, Lynn Solberg? And these two came in, Jody brought these in, so you don't have copies of these. I can get them to you. Andrew Delgado and Sherry Howell. All right.
Okay, so basically all those individuals get a step increase from the step they're on to the next step.
Move to approve.
So much by Van Dusen,
Second,
second by Johnson. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We'll say no. Okay, that motion carries.
There are no travel requests.
No travel requests. And do we have, let's see, any other old business?
Notices.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I skipped public notices, possible quorum of commissioners.
There is an LEPC meeting at noon today, at Pizza Ranch. I'll be there for that.
And
Parades at all?
Could be
might, yeah. Actually, great.
Transfer, Watertown.
Yeah, so maybe we'll see each other.
Transfer having a parade this year? Oh, okay.
I was on the fourth.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you
It's like the
kidding,
biggest one
Troy?
in South Dakota, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I think before we meet again, and I mentioned that last week, there was that, bridge dedication.
Right, yeah, that's July
Saturday,
first, right?
first.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
got the bridge dedication on. And I don't know if we're doing a GOP meeting on the first, on that Wednesday,
I don't
but
know if
that's a
he's-
possibility.
Yeah, I don't know if they do
We
that.
might
or
wait a
not.
week on that. So, okay, any other, so parades. Bridge dedication, I think those are the biggies.
Thursday Night Lives.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, any old business, number 21? We already covered it a little bit on the change order. Any new business, 22? Anything for the open?
Mr. Chair, just a quick follow-up question to our next meeting. Did we decide? when we're
July
gonna meet?
11th.
July 11th, okay.
And that will be when you will have that auction of that property in town here.
Okay,
So who's going to be the auctioneer?
I'd be happy to.
Okay.
I'll practice between now and then.
Okay.
Okay.
You're yodeling,
you got
you can do the
I
yodeling,
don't know.
yodeling commissioner.
Yeah. All right. So next meeting is on the, thank you for. bringing
July
that up.
11th.
So July 11th is our
Oh.
next meeting. So due to the holiday, for the July holiday. Anything other stuff for the open? Yeah. Okay, do we have a need for executive session?
Yeah.
We do for personnel, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so
Any action?
any, well, move it, go into executive session.
Move to, yeah,
Okay,
go into executive session.
9:56.
okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
So second by Schwer. So this is just for personnel issues. I don't think there's any. Yeah, I don't know of any other reasons. So
No action after.
yeah, no action anticipated afterwards. So all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We'll say no. Okay, that motion carries.